What's going on, Blue Crew? It's your boy Big Blue here again with another video. Today I have a build video with the Soul Render. That gun just synergized so well with the playstyle with the Berserker is what I call it, but it's actually a breaker. I just think the name fits so much better with the one that I have. It's good for mobbing, it's good for bossing, it does it all. It's the full package. If you do like this video or any of my other content, like, share, and subscribe. And without any further ado, guys, let's get into the video. Okay, welcome back, Blue Crew. So I'm going to do it a little different in this video. I am going to show you a couple kills of me killing some bosses. But I want to go over the playstyle of the build and just a little bit about it before I actually get into the full effects later on. So one of the main things that's going to keep you alive is going to be your damage reduction. You get 29% from the Breaker class mod, and you get another 40% from Helping Hands, which I have maxed out in the build. With those two together, you get 69% damage reduction. So it makes you super tanky. One of the reasons that I use Face Slam is because my weapon has Face Slam on it. But that just works well with the Breaker already. You know, those two work very well together. That coupled with everything else that I have, like I said, I'll go over again in the video later. It just makes this build super tanky, a lot of damage. Oh, let me show you one last thing. My modifiers. Modifiers are neutral, so it shouldn't be a problem there. One of your biggest enemies is going to be barrels, actually. Barrels will kill you more times than not. As I slam into a barrel. But as you can see, takes down everybody pretty easily. And I actually slammed into enough people to get enough SAM star stacks to keep me alive, maybe. Yeah. So I got 4 stacks, so that's what kept me alive just then. Even without the face slam, those shock, what do you want to call them? Those shock skulls. They're not shock, but mine are because I'm using shock element. They just destroy. And yes, I could have face slammed by now. I just wanted to show you that even without face slamming, you still do plenty of damage. This build is definitely an up close and personal build. You will have to be in their faces. I know it's a little different for Amara, but it works really well. As long as you slam and you actually hit enemies with it to get those Samsara stacks, you should be fine. One thing I will note when you are fighting bosses, slam on the bosses because it does considerably more damage than slamming away from the bosses. One boss that it actually won't work with is Grave Ward. So the skulls don't actually register with him for some reason. Because he doesn't actually show up as a red dot like these guys do on your map, it won't register him, so I can't get like maximum damage like I can on everyone else, so can't get it to work. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much how the build works. Let's get into those boss kill clips. So you guys know I love testing out stuff on Captain Tron. He's just a great target for me to test stuff out on. I couldn't really hit his crit spot like I wanted to, but as you see, it still melts him. I use the same build the whole time. I don't switch it. And to prove that, I'm gonna actually fight the Warden later because you know he's corrosive. He has armor and he has health. So you'll get to see how it performs against him. And I don't switch a single thing and it still performs well, I think. Okay, here's that clip of Warden I was talking about. So the biggest problem I had with him was actually getting to him. My damage reduction is still high when I'm far away, but it's not as good as when I'm up close to him. My damage isn't either. So once I was actually able to get up close to him, I can only take so many of those rockets, you know, I'm only so strong. But once I actually was able to get close to him, he was not a problem either. Even with him having armor and me using shock and incendiary, which it's an easy fix. All you'd have to do is change out your shield, which I'm using a transformer that has an incendiary. You can change it to corrosive and change your action skill to corrosive or leave it shock, whichever you prefer, and it would still work the same for you. You see I'm constantly slamming near him to make sure I have my Samsara stack, which I get 1 from him, and everything else, all of my buffs, so I make sure I slam very close to him. And if you time that right with any of the jumping enemies in the game, you can make it where they won't actually hurt you because you're slamming at the same time. Okay guys, let's get into the build. Like I was saying earlier, the main weapon that I'm actually using is the trained Soul Render with the Face Slam anointment to give me an extra 300% damage. I'm using a transformer with incendiary damage. If you were going to do the takedown or something like that, I would suggest changing this to like a transformer with corrosive damage and then switching your action skill to corrosive. But it should work just fine as long as you remember the key in this build is making sure, in this whole playstyle, is making sure you slam near enemies because it gives you a big damage reduction buff and it gives you that extra damage, a whole lot of extra damage. I'm using this cloning Hunter Seeker for that extra shock damage. That'd still be fine in a takedown, no problem. This Flurrying Breaker is the reason that you have to be so close to your enemies. You have 3 points extra into personal space, plus the closer you are to your enemies, the more damage reduction you have, up to 29%. Like I said earlier, that stacked with the 40% in the build actually gives you 69%, so it's pretty good. It also has that extra splash damage at 32%, which those skulls do splash damage, so that's nice. Going into the actual tree, Mythical Assault, I have 1 point in fast hands just for some extra reload speed. Not that this gun reloads too slow, but it just feels more comfortable like this. Violent Tapestry I have for that extra effect chance. Seeing that I have a kinetic version of the gun, I have to try to proc. I'm trying to get these to proc as much as possible. Transcend for that extra critical hit damage. With all the damage we're putting out, that extra critical hit damage is just, it's a great addition. Plus the accuracy is actually nice too. I have Restless just for that cooldown rate. I have Ascendant because, again, I use Stillness of Mind when I do this because it just picks everybody up. I'm able to get that critical shot and then it just chains off and kills everybody most of the time. Laid Bear and Wrath, like I was saying earlier, is very important also to you slamming near those enemies. You get a lot of damage buffs and damage reduction by doing so, so make sure you're slamming close to enemies, big groups of enemies if possible. From Rest for their fire rate. Fire rate helps this gun be even more incredible because it just becomes a bullet hole. It's crazy. Remnant, you've seen how my Remnant orbs were everywhere. They were constantly spawning because when the gun crits for some reason, the ghosts, you know, they go everywhere and sometimes you get Remnant orbs from all of it, so it helps. It's really nice. Avatar, so I can cast more than one, so I can keep it going pretty much all the time. In the Fist of the Elements tree, I have 1 point into Anima. I needed 1 point just to progress far enough to get down into Indiscriminate, excuse me. I have Steady Hands for handling and accuracy. I want the accuracy to be really nice. Infusion, just because I'm using kinetic gun, I need that infusion. Tempest for that extra elemental damage and shock damage. I'm using a lot of shock damage, that's why I went shock. But elemental damage also is nice. Using Dread because if I have enemies grasp, which I'm slamming near them, and I have Stillness of Mind on, so I do, my gun reloads, so that's nice. Indiscriminate for that ricochet chance to get all your skulls to proc and to get all your extra skulls to proc, and plus your ricochet chance is nice. Okay, in the Brawl tree we have 2 points into Root to Rise for some extra health. Those 6 points into personal space, which are really important to the damage in this build. Samsara just for that regeneration. I do only have 1 point in there. I couldn't figure out a way to get more without getting rid of some of the damage reduction, so this is the best way I could do it. And I have Helping Hands. I have 5 points into that for that damage reduction, making us just really, really tanky. Also, you do have the option of meleeing somebody to increase your damage by another 6% if you want to. That's the build, guys. I hope you did like this video. If you did, hit that subscribe button, like, share. Blue Crew, like always, stay medicated, stay elevated. Till the next one.